What is the reason behind you waking up suddenly at 3 a.m. or 5 a.m.? We know the Bible says that while men slept, the enemy came and sowed tares and went his way. The world becomes a hostile environment when watchers are sleeping, because watchers are intercessors that stand in the gap and pray for nations and pray for leaders and pray for families. One of the signs that you are a watchman is when God wakes you up in one of the prayer watches. I like the example where Jesus is praying at night and his disciples were asleep. They are watchers, but they are asleep. And Jesus, being God, comes and wakes them up and says, watch and pray. What happened there is simply what is happening now. When you wake up around 3 a.m., it is when God is waking you up and say, watch and pray. You suddenly just wake up, not just because you have to go to the loo, not just because you slept in the afternoon, but you just suddenly wake up around 3 a.m. I want to advise you that, child of God, it is God who's waking you up. Never ever try to force yourself back to sleep, especially when God wakes you up with a dream. There are kinds of dreams. There are dreams that terrify you. There are dreams where you jump out of bed shaking. Those are dreams where God shows you something and then wakes you up so that you can do something about it. Where is it in the Bible? In the book of Job, chapter 33, verse 14. It says, for God speaks in one way and in two, though man does not perceive it. In a dream, in a vision of the night, when deep sleep falls upon men, whilst they slumber on their beds, then he opens their ears and terrifies them with warnings. This is why it is important when it comes to dream interpretation to look at how the dream started and how the dream ended. And of course here, how it ended, it includes how you woke up. Were you peaceful about it? Were you troubled when you woke up? Were you shaking and scared and sweaty? It then helps you to interpret that dream. So when you find yourself waking up after a dream, God has just waken you up the same way Jesus woke up his disciples to watch and pray. God is waking you up so that you can do something about it. Because when God shows you something, it is either you are part of the problem or you are part of the solution. There's always something that you can do in the place of prayer. God does not show you visions to satisfy your curiosity or to entertain your spirit or so that you can brag to your colleagues or your church mates. God shows you because there is a serious assignment that is being assigned to you. Those that are familiar with the prayer watches, they know that there are 8 prayer watches. But in this video, I want to focus on 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. which is called the last watch of the day. And it is during this time that you have supernatural visitations. In the Bible, you had Jacob encountering an angel at this time. We know it was this time because the sun was almost up. That's why the angel says, let me go before the sun comes up. But as much as you have divine encounters, you also have unholy encounters with the enemy. Hence the Bible says, while men slept, the enemy came. It is also this time that the witches can visit you. It is this time that spiritual husbands can torment you, which is why it is important for your spirit to be awake. When your spirit is awakened, you are able to see whatever is coming your way, and you are able to deal with it in prayer. Child of God, it is this time that you're supposed to stand boldly and you make declarations. Because one thing we have to understand is that as much as we make declaration, the enemy has an ability to make declarations. So it is this time that you have to stand up. Whatever that God has shown you as a watchman, you stand up and you pray against it. You stand up and you pray against it. The Bible says that in the book of Ezekiel chapter 33 verse 6, but if the watchman sees the sword coming and does not blow the trumpet to warn the people, and the sword comes and takes someone's life, that person's life will be taken because of their sin. But I will hold the watchman accountable for their blood. If you see a vision of someone dying, and you don't pray about it, you don't do anything about it, you don't make declarations to stop, to counteract the plan of the enemy, the death of that person, you will be accountable for it. There are things that God will say and will say, when did this happen? The same way he said in the book of Malachi that you are robbing me. And they wondered, where have we held God hostage and robbed him? In the book of Matthew, he said, I was hungry, yet you did not feed me. And they scratched their head, wondering, when did this happen? In the same way, God is going to say to you, as a watchman, I showed you something that was about to happen, and you did nothing about it. A lot of people, they have a question that why does God allow bad things to happen? It is not God who allows bad things to happen, but it is people that slumber. It is watchmen that love sleep more than people's destinies, more than the welfare of people. God has given us jurisdiction to be able to make decrees, to be able to pray and stop whatever negativity, stop whatever the enemy is trying to do. Remember that after there was war in heaven, the Bible says Satan was cast down on the earth, meaning that whatever the devil is doing is not troubling heaven, but is troubling here on earth. Hence, we are the ones that God has called us to be watchmen, to stand in the gap, to disturb, intercept the plans of the enemy. So as a watchman, there should not be any death on your watch, unless if it's time, of course. But there should not be any evil that prevails on your watch. You should be someone that prays and say, in my village, there shall not be this pattern of people just drinking. There shall not be this pattern of people just dying. Where I come from, when I was still in my village, before I left to come to Joburg, I used to say, it was a prophecy, and I say, wickedness and witches of this area, they want to cause a bus accident. And I was specific and I said the school bus. Because I was there in that area and I was praying, nothing happened until 2015 when I left the area. When I left the area, the next year, 2016, there was a bus accident. Why? Because a watchman was taken from there. So this is the reason why God wakes you up. You're not waking up by mistake. God is simply waking you up so that you can do something about it.